Hello and welcome to the Serra High School Football Podcast. How are you, Coach Walsh?
Doing well, thank you, Amy.
Awesome, good. Well, here we are again. This is an exciting week as we enter the event that we've all been waiting for, which is the beginning of the WCAL, the big season, the real season.
Yeah.
How does it feel coming in with the 3-0 record at this point?
Try to separate.
Yep.
Honestly, I've been doing this for so long to know it doesn't matter. Only lessons are learned from the first 3 games. And we've been on all different mixes of that, 0-3, 3-0, 2-1, 1-2. We've experienced it all, and frankly, none of it really matters unless lessons are learned from any of those certain situations. And truthfully, on every WCL campus, we all are 0-0, and that's when they tally up the wins for the WCAL, they don't include the first 3 games. So I think for us, just hopefully we have some maturity about ourselves that we can understand that we're headed into WCL play, and it's the hardest time of the year. I mean, regardless of what we just went through, which was very hard.
Oh yeah.
This is harder because there's no stopping point. There's no more bye weeks. It's 7 weeks of WCAL rivalry play and emotions, and there's grass fields and Friday games and Saturday games and in San Jose or wherever. It's just there's a lot of crazy things that happen in these 7 games, and there's a ton of history and a ton of rivalries, and nothing really matters except these 7 games. Really, they really don't. Proud of where we are. I'm happy with where we're at. Obviously, any competitor would prefer to be 3-0.
Of course.
But
especially against those teams. I mean,
sure, yeah, absolutely.
Our opponents were amazing.
Yes, and definitely not going to take away or diminish the success that those 3 games that we've experienced, but also understanding the foundation of everything around here is the WCL play, and that starts Friday. Definitely,
and with that too, when we do have home games, we've got a night game homecoming, right? That's the 30th.
Yep.
So that's different for us to pull in the stadium or the extra stands and lights.
Yeah.
And then we've got Senior Day, and then we've got Poly Day, or maybe
yes.
Those are not in the right order, but I'm just saying it's a lot of
right.
Yes.
To
do.
Things.
Yeah,
Things.
stuff, more stuff. So
Carl Van Clausewitz calls it fog of war or friction. And this is an old school military guy, and I somehow came across some of his writings. And there's a lot of friction this time of year, a lot of fog of war, where it's the outfits that make it through the friction of those sort of things.
Right.
And can focus on dialing into fundamentals and relationships that matter, not things that don't matter, generally become WCL champs.
Yeah, there you go.
And
I was going to say, and honestly, I feel like since football season has started, the calendar is it's a totally different time of year. I mean, it just feels like things move so much faster when you are kind of coming down off of a game and then anticipating the next. So,
yes, you're right.
It's a good time of year. Well, we had a bye week, which was, I think, much needed for the players. I think everybody kind of was able to just take a deep breath and kind of get their head about them again.
Yes.
But of course, for our podcast purposes, it means we have nothing to draw on for what happened when. So I thought it might just, spinning off from last week, we talked about some of the good ideas that we could discuss in the question and answer period. And one was the coaches. And I always think this is a perfect time of year to introduce the coaches, just who they are, what they do, how long they've been there, any other stories you might like to tell about them. You'll have the floor, but just so that people, when they see everybody on the sidelines, they know exactly what they do. So
right.
So yeah, well, and we know a lot about you. So you're 22 years here, and you could talk about yourself. And I think we all know that you're the head coach.
I'll defer. We don't need to talk about me. I think I was thinking about this just recently. Maybe it was during the bye week, but just how fortunate I am to be here with these guys. And in our environment, it was funny. I was thinking about, I haven't called one play since 2012.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I don't call plays. I've always had, since 2012, I've had an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. Sorry, offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator. And, for me, that's been great because it's allowed me to get to know the entire team and feel the joy and the pain of everything. Where I think I almost marvel at these NFL guys that are the offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators and also the head coach, because I don't know how you juggle it all, to be honest with you. And, having 250 kids in our program and the freshman team and the JV team and then also being concerned, let's say, if I'm the D coordinator, about the defense.
Right, the actual game.
I think it would be doing our program a disservice. So that brings up, the guys that we do have. Darius Bell is our offensive coordinator. Steve Monsef is our defensive coordinator and have been since 2018. And they've just done such a wonderful job. And Darius Bell is mostly known for being a Serra killer when he was the quarterback at Archbishop Reardon. And I'll never forget his competitiveness and his drive as a high school player.
Wow.
Because we were 0-2 against him as junior and senior year. We had really good teams. And we just could not beat the Crusaders led by Darius Bell.
That's amazing.
And Coach
How cool that
Langridge.
he's here. That's so great.
Coach Langridge, too, was the head coach of Archbishop Reardon. He's now coaching on our freshman team.
Oh, my gosh.
And he was at Serra, then he went to Reardon, then he went to CSM. Now he's back at Serra where he belongs. He's a Padre. But anyway, so it's been really fun to coach against Darius as a player and then coach against Darius as a coach, which did not go well for Serra. And that was, I can't even remember, it was a City College, San Francisco City College, I think it was 2015. It was like 65-48 or something. Just one of these mindless offensive games. And Coach Bell just called a masterpiece of a game. It was beautiful against us. But the way they executed and the way they played and everything was really great. And, when this opportunity came up and he expressed interest in being the offensive coordinator in 2018 when Coach Lowe left for St. John Bosco, I was like, wow, yes, this could be great. Talk to me. And because I've already seen it. Right. I've seen him as a player, and I've seen him as a play caller and seen it against us and the misery that unfolded from it. So anyway, that's kind of how Darius found us. He found us when I opened the job after Coach Bell left or Coach Lowe left, and we've been blessed ever since to have him on campus, assistant athletic director.
Absolutely.
He's been fantastic.
And he also, not only as a coach, but, he played at UCLA, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did he play after UCLA?
Yes. No, he did not play.
Okay.
He'll kill me if he did, but I don't think he didn't make any money in the NFL.
Okay, that's what I didn't know.
No,
he looks like he would.
Yeah, he doesn't have an NFL contract that he's banking on.
Yeah, exactly. He's not telling us about.
No, exactly. So, yeah, he played at UCLA, went down there as a quarterback, ended up being a wide receiver. So his knowledge of, the passing game and the intricacies of the offense, he learned from Coach Master was one of his coaches who ran the pistol offense at Nevada with Colin Kaepernick, and then went to University of Oregon. He's kind of a famous guy when it comes to the pistol offense. So Coach Bell has a great kind of pedigree of people that he's learned from over the years, and he's a learner. He loves it. He lives and dies with the team first, which is great, but also the offense. I think he would say he'd rather win 7-6 than lose 53-52 because he's a team guy. Right. But he also wants to score 53 points,
of course
which is what we want from our coordinators.
And he's also very, very active, if not, fundamental to our program when it comes to athletic scholarships and offers and signing day and everything like that. He has a huge knowledge bank of that, and he's really
he's our on-campus recruiting liaison, recruiting coordinator when it comes to the guys coming, particularly in May and coming up here in November, December when the guys are out visiting from the colleges and, who should we look at, what's going on, that sort of thing. He's very well connected. He's very well respected. I love hearing from the guys like, if I can't be here, whatever, the guys are, hey, that Darius Bell guy, he's first class. He took care of us. So people want to come to Serra because we have good players and because we run a good program, but also because of Darius.
Yeah, your coaching staff is amazing. Let's go on. After Bell, we also have Coach Ortiz.
Yep.
I almost just put that name together.
Yep. Coach Ron Ortiz. He's not a Reardon Crusader. He'll be the first to tell you he's a Serra Padre.
Yep.
So it's nice having alums on the staff. But he is our wide receiver coach and our special teams coordinator, and does a fantastic job on special teams. And you don't really keep score on offense and defense. On offense and defense, you do. You can kind of say, hey, we pitched a shutout or we gave up this many points. Special teams lies in the shadows. It's a murky thing. And it always ends up leading to something. And, some of the great moments that we've had together as a program because of some of the things that Coach Ortiz has done on special teams.
Oh, yeah.
Just identifying things and, working with the personnel. It's always a rotating carousel because – guys get injured, guys are in, guys are out. It's a really hard job, and I take special teams very seriously. And I always rib them. It's not a fun job to be the special teams coordinator at Serra because I'm over the top of it because it's the fastest way to win or lose a game,
Right.
special teams.
Oh yeah, I'll bet.
And but he's done a fantastic job. Works with the wide receivers. Got a heart of gold. Is always trying to help kids.
How long has he been on staff?
Shoot, you don't ask me that about any of these guys. I know
A long
Mons
time.
and Bell because I know when those guys left me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But shoot, I don't know. Coach Ortiz has been here for 7, 8, 9 years. I
Very
don't know, a
cool.
long time.
Awesome.
And it's
he's
nice to have a fixture in there on the special teams.
Oh yeah, and like you said, an alum, which is really cool too.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. And then Coach Falau?
Yeah, Coach Falau played for us, was on a state championship team in 2017, is studying to get his degree at San Jose State.
Very nice.
And, it does it online, goes down to school, but has time to be here by 3 o'clock and coach our offensive line, which is another kind of unforgiving
Right.
job here because O-line is kind of my baby, if anything. And he's doing a fantastic job. We call him Afamui. I call him Afamui. That's his birth name, but Elijah is what everyone knows him as and calls him. But he was a left tackle for us on the championship team in 2017 that won the state championship, and
Awesome.
is real tight with Keelan and Neo Mafi and all those guys, and has a great understanding of what Serra football is at its highest level, and also was a fantastic player. And so just having a great young Padre who
Boys love
played.
him.
Yep, he's fantastic. Gets along well with the guys, but doesn't go over the top. I think a lot of young coaches sometimes have a problem with hitting that buddy route.
Sure.
And then when you want to
Good point.
when you want to step on the gas, it's like, wait, I thought we were buddies. Like, you leave me alone. So he does a really good job of playing in the middle
Balancing
there.
that, yeah.
So first year rookie varsity coach doing a great job.
Awesome. And then for defense, we can start with Coach Monsef.
Yep, Coach Mons, one of the crowd favorites, team favorites.
Yep.
For the guys. He's awesome. He's been with us since 2018. So when Chris Vassar left, he went to Clovis, and now Chris Vassar's doing a great job. He's now in Florida doing podcasts. This is his job, basically, what we do.
It's a fun job.
And he's
That
fantastic.
could be you.
No, I don't think so. He does a great job of garnering like defensive information and has a defensive following from guys in the NFL
cool.
down to Coach Mons. All of us listen to him. Just a fantastic guy. But when he left, it was like, oh no, man! Like similar type of story. He was at St. Francis as the defensive coordinator and pitched a shutout against a team, that we score like 30, 40 points a game. We lost 21-0 that day.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, wow, what is this guy?
That's painful.
Just a different mind. He had a different mind. I remember watching them play at Kezar Stadium against Sacred Heart, them being St. Francis. And they were doing this. Guy was on the sideline, all these wild signals. And I'm like, what are these guys doing? I couldn't even really figure out what they're doing on defense.
Wow.
So if I can't figure it out, then that's a good thing. So we became friends. It's a good thing if he comes to Serra. But we became friends, and it didn't work out at St. Francis for whatever reasons. This wasn't no shady stuff, but he ended up coming to Serra, and it's been great knowing him. But from that Coach Vassar family tree, Steve Monsef was at Archbishop Mitty with a coach that's no longer there anymore. But he was working as a co-defensive coordinator at Archbishop Mitty,
Right.
running similar stuff, but studying in the same circles. And then when Coach Vassar left in 2017, Coach Mons needed a job, and I'm like, boom, let's go get that
You're
guy.
our guy. Yeah, perfect.
So interesting way how things came together for us with these guys, but a lot of it, I say some of the best lessons are born in misery. And when I look at what the pain some of them have inflicted on us, I was like, oh man, what if they were on our team? That'd be cool.
Yeah, totally.
So Coach Mons is one of those guys as well. Just a brilliant defensive mind. I would put him on a chalkboard with anybody in the country. That includes Bill Belichick.
Wow.
And when
That's saying
talking
a
about
lot.
defense, like
That's saying
talking
a lot.
about coverage, talking about defense and being sound. And, of course, none of these guys are perfect, and I love them. But and I know he would demur to that comment, but he's a very, very bright guy and works very hard coaching defense. And for me, if we scored 0 points or gave up 60 points, I would know that it wasn't because these guys weren't putting their heart and soul into it, and I can live with the outcomes when it comes to that as a coordinator. I basically have a little family, and in our little family is, I have this one baby that's offensive baby, and then I have a defensive baby and a special teams baby. And it's like, I'm going to give this little child to you. Please don't mess it up.
Exactly.
And if you do mess it up, I want to
you.
know that you at least care.
Yeah.
And these guys definitely care.
100%. That's so obvious. I mean, just from just hearing the boys, the way that they talk about and the respect that they have. I mean, you guys have mastered the art of, relational teaching and really connecting with them and making it a family. And I think there's so much that goes into that it's so obvious every single day out there.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And Coach McGee?
Yeah, so on that note, I will say ABC is, I think it's from Glenn Ross, if it always be closing or something else maybe. Anyway, ABC is an acronym for always be closing in a sales situation. We have hijacked that to always be coaching.
There you go.
And I'll just, I don't have to say it much anymore, but every once in a while, the kids will be over here and there'll be a group of coaches over here. Nothing gets me more irritated than seeing a group of coaches during practice time, like talking to one another.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? Like,
talk on your own time.
Yeah, let's come to my house afterwards and we can talk. It'll be fun. We'll talk about all sorts of stuff. But during practice, unless they're talking about strategy, which sometimes they do, but it's like, no, we're talking to the kids. We only have 2 hours with these guys.
Right.
So we say always be coaching. Coach McGee is a guy who always coaches. And when he shows up on campus, it's ABC time for him. And he's a brilliant, brilliant safeties coach. Very, very smart, bounces a ton of ideas off of Coach Mons and vice versa. They're sharing ideas about coverages and things that they've been through over years and years and years, because Coach McGee was with Coach Vass and he was with Coach Mons. So okay. Coach McGee's been with us since 2006.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's had 2 kids. One kid has graduated from here. Another kid's going through here right now. Michael McGee is a basketball player.
Nice.
Just a wonderful, wonderful human being. Wonderful for the kids. The safeties and the secondary love Coach McGee. I know kids that have gone off to college that still stay in touch with them. And these are the type of influential, kind of transformational coaches, Coach McGee being one of them, and the oldest one with us from this staff. I don't know about age, but oldest in terms of years.
Right.
But being with us with the Padres. So I'm just so blessed. Every year he says, Coach, I'm going to coach again. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, he's a wonderful role model and mentor. They all are, actually. I mean, you're really lucky. So as I read these, I'm like, wow, I really like that guy. Yeah, they're all perfect. Okay, yeah. Coach Thomas?
Coach Thomas, a Serra Padre grad, and was on one of the transformational teams that we had here at Serra as we were talking about program transitions. The 2002 team won the first WCAL title since 1972.
Wow, that was big.
It was huge. 2016 beat St. Francis for the first time in 35 games. It was like, what is going on? Oh my gosh, there's been just horror stories about this game that we're about to play Friday night, which always puts us on edge. It's
always.
Like, yeah, and it's like that ended 16 years ago. Holy cow.
But we saw last season, anything can happen, right?
Anything can happen.
We won one, lost one.
Well, that's what happens and we just played 3 very, very, very proud programs. And this St. Francis team program has always been a very, very proud program. Coach Calcagno's dad's name is on the stadium. So he coaches below Ron Calcagno Stadium. Like, what is that? That's like, whew. I can only imagine if I was coaching. We got Brady Family Stadium, so I'm pretty freaked out about that. But, if my dad's name's above me, we're just talking about tradition and a program that cares and has done special things throughout the decades. That makes it always a formidable opponent. And I have a ton of respect for the Lancers and what they do. And on that night here at Serra, some October night, I think, we had a night game here. And magic happened that night. It is my favorite game. I don't know if it could ever be beat. And I don't mean that as to throw any negativity on any other game that we've ever won and or lost here at Serra. I can tell stories all night long about some games. But that night was very, very special. I remember Randy Vogel when I first got here. I didn't know who Randy Vogel was, but a lot of Padres that just heard that name, like, I know Randy Vogel.
Of course.
He was here 50 years.
Oh, yeah, 50.
He said, before I die, this was like the first thing he told me when I got to campus. Before I die, the Giants need to win a World Series, and Serra needs to beat St. Francis.
He got both.
I'm like, okay, that's good. He's still alive, too. Yeah. God. But yes, he got both. But that night was so special, and Coach Thomas was on the field that night. His senior class kind of, it was. I got here. It was 29 games. It was 28 years, and then it ended up being 35 games because I was the only coach that was fortunate to lose to St. Francis twice in 1 year.
Oh no!
So it became 35 games, 34-year streak that ended that night. Now, Coach Thomas, in his own right, went off to junior college and then went to Indiana to play linebacker.
Wow.
And is now our linebacker coach, and he's so good with the kids, and he's so technical, really understands playing linebacker here. And in Coach Mon's system, linebackers have to know the pass game, the run fits, the pass fits, everything, the blitzes, the coverages. So our linebacker coach needs to be a guy, and right. Coach Thomas is. So it's great to have him and another Padre that I coached on board.
Awesome. And he just had another baby, a little girl, so that's cute.
Yep.
Awesome. And then, of course...
Which is a good story. Sorry, I don't know how much time we have. But his baby was born like at 4 or 5 in the morning after the WCAL game.
That's right.
So we get a text like it's 8 or 9 in the morning. She came last night. The baby came last night. I'm like, last night? Wait a sec. I just saw you like at 11. We were leaving, Sarah. We dropped the kids off.
That's so crazy.
So that was
a big night for him.
That must have been a hell of a 24 hours.
She was due, and I remember he was like, just make it Saturday.
Yeah.
Because he was so worried about missing that game, which is so
Well,
cute.
Celeste, being a true coach's wife, was like, look, I'm like, well, how much time are you going to miss? Paternity leave, all that. He goes, no, I'll be at practice.
That's so cool.
She must have a great family. She has a great family.
Definitely.
Yeah, a lot of support.
That's awesome. And now on to Coach Peralta, one of the best humans ever, and a very obviously close friend of yours.
Yes. So Coach Peralta, we're blessed to have him down here. Just on the human level, there's not one human being on this planet that doesn't like Coach Peralta.
Totally.
Coach McGee, I could throw in there. I mean, maybe there's some other guys on here that there might be 1 or 2 people, but but I can tell you in all certainty, Coach McGee and Coach Peralta have 0 enemies on this planet.
Yep.
And that's just because of their character, their soul, how they treat people, their foundational kind of their faith and what they believe in. Mm-hmm. And Coach Peralta has just been awesome. He's coaching our defensive line this year. He coached our freshman team the last 2 years. He was our dean here. He's teaching religion now. But, having a guy who has multiple years, I won't say because I don't want to age him, but multiple years of head coaching experience now on our team, helping with the special teams and coaching D-line. It's a great thing for me because I can bounce kind of head coaching ideas off of him.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's been through it all. Like, hey, what would you do in this situation? What would you do in this situation? And having that has just been such a comfort for me. And also just a dear friend, just someone that I love, as much as anybody. Just to have him with me and mm-hmm. with our team and with our kids, it's another one of those kind of warm security blanket type humans that we have here at Serra that I think for me makes us unique, makes us, I don't know about unique, but just makes us, I feel special about being a part of it.
Absolutely.
Just having men of these character around these kids every day.
That's wonderful. I mean, it shows in the product, right? I mean, these men, they care, and it's just so obvious.
Yep.
Coach Peralta, though, wasn't he at Marin Catholic for a while, Reardon?
Yep, coached at Marin Catholic. One of the great memories of all time was when he played in the state championship against Serra Gardena.
Oh.
My son, William, was maybe 4 or 5, and I went to, I hate to say this, but one of my least favorite places on the planet is Disneyland. I'm just being honest. It just makes me nervous and tense, and I'm sprinting for the cars line. I got to be first.
I know, it's a weird environment.
Yeah, it's kind of, I didn't like what Disneyland did to me as a dad. Maybe as a kid it was amazing, but as a dad, I'm like, let's go. I got to get a fast pass. Everyone's going nuts.
Totally. It does make you a little bit.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll have a $37 Coke and a $27. Next thing you know, my bank account's at 0. I'm like, wait, this is
the happiest place on earth?
Basically, this is a parking lot that has some cool rides and an idea. Like, let's go to the beach. Anyway, but when Coach was at Marin Catholic, we get to stand on the sidelines that day with Willie when he was just a little boy after the famed Disneyland trip, and to watch his team play. And basically, oh my gosh, I call him the state champion because they were like 50-point underdogs and lost by like 1 or 2 against Serra Gardena. Just one of the best high school games ever. And the resiliency and the toughness and everything Coach Peralta is as a coach, and just to be able to stand on the field and watch it that day was fantastic.
I'll bet.
So he was at Marin Catholic, went to Sacred Heart. Coached at Sacred Heart, where he's a grad. He's coached in college, coached in Kansas, coached in New Mexico. He's coached at junior college, at Cabrillo Junior College. He's coached all over the place, and just that, again, that wealth of knowledge and just experience is second to none.
Awesome. Well, it's a class act lineup on the coaches roster, so we're really grateful to have them, and thank you so much for just kind of identifying for our listeners like who is who. You know, I think certainly the parents all know, but many people don't. So wonderful. Well, now we are days away from our official season opener, right?
Yep.
At St. Francis, Friday night, 7:00. What do you know about the St. Francis team?
Well, I know everything goes back to history. So we talked a lot about the St. Francis game in 2021 because of what happened in 2020.
That's right.
Remember that?
I do.
And some of our listeners, if they've been with us for a couple of years, would know that. And I said, well, I can tell you what, I know what games circled on their calendar because of what happened in 2020, which was an aberration in the history of the whole thing was an aberration. I'm not going down that freaking rabbit hole. But the 2020 game was so bizarre. It was so weird. It was like 42-0 at halftime, Sarah, or something weird, 42-7. Never happened, and probably never happened again. It's happened the other way, sadly, to Sarah. But I'm like, guys, this is bad for us because of that.
Right.
And I know what they're thinking. The whole off season, blah 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 blah. Well, this is similar to me because of how last year ended, right?
That's true.
And we had week 10. On November 6th, we got blown out, embarrassed, and they did just an amazing job that day, and won the WCAL championship. 2 undefeated teams, and they didn't win it. They ripped it out of it. They just they took it. That's a great way to. Good job, Amy. And they took it and they earned it and everything. And then 20 days later, we won, and it was another game, 16-12. It was a crazy game, CCS championship game. And, that day, this game was circled on everyone's calendar at St. Francis. So we're going to be up against that, and whether we like it or not. That's just the way it is. So we either – and regardless of what happened in the preseason, they beat Central Catholic, which we all know is a tough team.
Very. Very
tough team. They won that game. Monterey Trail did not win. De La Salle, they did not win, but that doesn't matter in terms of this game. None of it matters. But if we're going to do some comparative stuff, we're going to talk about the fact that they beat Central Catholic and a team we beat too, but it was a struggle. It was a tough game. And, this is can't sleep in WCAL lesson number 1. And we know we're going to get the best of the Lancers and know a lot of those kids now. They got great leadership, kids who've been there for many years, carrying the football. Mm-hmm. Kayala is number 3. He's a great player. He plays safety. Matt Doherty was hurt last year, wide receiver.
Right.
Atkinson, number 11, he's back. He tore us apart last year. Oliver Bari, number 52, is their tackle. He's a great player. He was on that team last year. So they have a lot of returning players that have long-term memories, that love their seniors, that aren't there anymore, and they want redemption.
I was going to say that.
I mean, and me, guys, I'm not going to lie on this podcast, and it doesn't take a genius to figure out where they're going to be emotionally.
Right.
Now, whether or not we're prepared for that or do we care about that? Do we not care about that? Do we care about ourselves? Like just managing the reality of tradition and history and WCAL is friction. It's fog of war stuff. It's things that are going to come up every single week. There's going to be some story I'm going to be able to tell you about something. And, whether or not we can dive into ourselves and focus on the love that we have for one another is it's always going to be on display Friday night.
That's true. That's true. And are you, what's kind of I don't want to say word on the field, but do you hear, are our boys prepared? Do you feel like mentally, of course, physically, I know that I've seen them work. Yeah. But,
I don't know yet. I don't.
It's kind of early in the week.
It's early in the week. Today's Tuesday when we're doing this podcast, and I don't know yet. We're coming off the bye week, and it's always, while I love bye weeks, I also hate them.
Yeah. It gets you out of sync for
sure. Right.
You're
out of sync. And I know guys went, they get on planes and traveled and, looking at schools and doing all the things you should do on a weekend. I gave them Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, which I always do. A lot of families took advantage of it and do some college stuff. Mm-hmm. And everyone took a deep breath and got away, but it's like, do you pull the lawnmower and it goes, woof, and the engine's going, or do you got to pull on that chain a bunch of times?
Right.
So we're working through that right now. And we're not going to have the luxury of sitting around and figuring out if that lawnmower is going to be going Friday night.
Sure.
Because the Lancers are going to be there and they're going to be suited up and they're going to be ready to roll.
And tell me about just playing on their field. Is it I mean, is it I imagine every time it's going to be an intimidating environment, but is it any different than, are there any other?
The University of St. Francis?
I know, it is like a college campus, that's for certain.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
It's first of all, I always marvel at just how beautiful the campus is, and they've done such a great job over the 22 years I've been there of basically tearing it down and rebuilding it, and the buildings are spectacular, and obviously they're known for that tree in the west end zone. I think they're north or south. It's closest to the school. It's just an absolutely beautiful tree. And it's a great place to play. It's high school football at its finest. They got that rage cage down there, and they always got a theme, and they got lights up there, and they're throwing baby powder or whatever these. Yeah. And it's what high school football should be. Yeah. And it's they do high school football well. They got the band, they got the cheerleaders, they got the fans, the support, the alumni. They got the tri-tip. I mean, they do it so well. And when I go down there scouting, I'm just sitting here taking great ideas and. Wow, they do good at that. That's a check. That's a check. That's a check. And they got like a building that sits up above the end zone where there's alumni up there, and they're having food, and it's just a really it's a great environment. And intimidating. Sanger was intimidating. That was like when I think of an intimidating environment, it was Sanger High School down. Man, if anyone wants to look up Serra versus Sanger. And doesn't know anything what I'm talking about. It's one of the most electric games I've ever coached in or played in or ever been a part of, even when I was coaching at WCAL, environment of all time in Sanger, California. You feel like you're basically in the middle of Texas. It was awesome. And they still have the video of that game, and that is up there in one of my favorite games of all time. So, but with that said, St. Francis has a terrific environment, tradition. They got the cannon when they score. Like it just, sometimes that cannon goes off a little bit too much. And it's like, oh, damn, boom. It's like. That's frustrating. So, but we're looking forward to it. It's always a great place to play.
Awesome. And then just for, do you have a theme of the week this week? Or do you?
Not really. No.
Just get ready for the WCAL.
Yeah.
That's the theme.
Yeah. Like tough. I mean, tough organization. I mean, we like to think of ourselves as mentally and physically tough. This is a week that's going to comprise not only those two aspects of it, but also spiritual toughness. Mm-hmm. There's bodies are going to start wearing down here, and then there's something that's going to have to drive us through this season. Mm-hmm. Other than just our minds and our physical beings, it's going to be our spirit of the team, leadership, things like that. This is the when I say tough, all of that means something. Organization, being organized, having 11 guys on the field, not jumping off sides. You basically just those things in a game like this where 5 yards matters, so you can't go backwards. Just having proper footwork, keeping our hands inside our frame, so we're not getting holding calls, and being organized and being coached. I mean, all these things matter. So, I mean, for me, the theme is always being a tough organization. And if I'm going to think about Sarah, if I ever retire, like, those guys were pretty tough. They were organized. They were well coached. Yeah. And if that happens, that's positive. And there's games where we're not that. And it's like, oh, damn it, we're not a tough organization. Right. So, hopefully we can continue to strive that through our work ethic this week, get to that point where we feel that we're ready. Sitting here Tuesday, not ready, but we don't need to be either. But. Right. And that's the beauty of the journey. You'll get there, and then you've got chapel Thursday night, and your leaders are stepping up, though, right? I mean, absolutely. They're tremendously organized at practice when starting, and they just seem connected. That's great. Yeah. It's been good so far, and obviously showing the resiliency of playing for 48 minutes in all three games, which takes a toll. Has been almost a testament of this team so far. So I'm anticipating another 48-minute game. Great. Friday night. Well, we are all looking forward to it. It's Friday night at St. Francis at 7 o'clock, and you can get tickets online. And thank you for your time. I'm really excited to see the game. And go Padres. Thank you. Thank you.